Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Topic 5, percentages, simple and compound interest. So our main objectives are to understand the concept of simple and compound interest, to find the final payable amount by the bank on a certain interest rate, to find the final payable amount by a person if he borrows on an amount on a certain rate of interest. So all these objectives are going to be achieved, you can say, using the main concept of the percentages. So let's see quickly what is interest. So many institutions such as banks and buildings, when you deposit your money over there and they use your money, then because they are using our money, so the amount that the bank pays off for the use of your money is called interest. Okay, now the interest, it can be you can say it can be of two types, simple and compound interest. What is simple interest? Is calculated on the principal or original amount of the loan. Compound interest is calculated on the principal amount and the accumulated interest of the previous period. Okay, let's compare the two types of interest. So simple interest, in simple interest for all years is the same. For example, you deposited the money for 3 years, so every year the amount of the interest, it will remain the same. As compared to this, if you go to the compound interest for all the years is different every year, because last year's amount will also be added to your principal amount. So every year the you can say the amount of the interest will be different. Simple interest is smaller than compound interest, and the opposite, like compound interest is larger than the simple interest. What is the formula that we use? This is the main thing that you have to keep in your mind, that the formula that we use for the interest is principal amount, we multiply it with the rate and we multiply it with the time, and all of it is divided by 100. If you look at the formula for the compound interest, it's principal amount times it by 1 plus the rate, and here you will write the number of years or the time according to the question. Interest is on principal amount only. Here in this case, interest is on previous interest as well as the principal amount. So here I have two examples. You can look at these two examples and understand the difference. Interest on principal only, we are finding the simple interest, so it will be only on the principal amount. For example, you have invested $200 with a rate of 3% for 2 years. So what will be the interest for the first year? So it will be, because it's 3%, so it will become $6. Next year, if you will find the interest, it will be also $6, and total interest will become $12, right? If you go with this one, so at a rate of 3%, first year you will get the 6%, but next year when you will be finding the interest, the amount, the principal amount will change into 206. Clear? Let's solve some question and then it will be more clear for you to understand the difference. So here we have an example. It says you invest $1,000 for 3 years and get 10% interest. Find the simple interest. How we will find the simple interest? So to find the simple interest, we will write the formula. What is the formula? The formula is P times R times T divided by 100, because it will always be divided by, okay, what is the principal amount? It's 1,000 times it by rate. What is the rate? It's 10% times what is how much for how many years you have deposited? 3 years, divided by 100. Now so these two zeros, so our final answer will become 300. So what is the amount of the simple interest? It's 300, so A is the correct option. Now let's see what do we have next. Here we have, they are saying you invest $1,000 for 3 years and get 10% interest compound at the end of the year. Find the compound interest. So clearly you can see what is the difference. The same question, but in this one they want you to find the compound interest, and here they want you to find the simple interest. So if you notice that on the last slide I told you that the compound interest is always larger than the simple interest. So let's see, is it really larger than the simple interest? So how can we find the compound interest? We will use the formula compound interest equals so what is the principal value? It's 1,000, and here you write 1 plus the 10 over 100, and here we write the number of years, so we are investing it for 3 years. So the final answer will become $1,331. Now remember, this is the total amount that you will be paid after 3 years. So to know what was actually the extra amount that you got from the by depositing the principal amount, you will subtract from it 1,000, so it will give you 331. So this is the amount of the interest, because this was your principal amount. So what can you say? This is the answer, 331. This shows that as you compare this one and this one, same amount was deposited for 3 years. Here same amount, same is the rate of interest, but in case of compound interest we got more value. We got $331, and here we got only $300. So this is the best example to understand the difference between the compound and the simple interest. Here is a question. This is from the past papers. It says a student deposits $1,500 in a saving account that pays an annual simple interest rate of 4%. Calculate the interest earned after 3 years. So what is the keyword? Here is the keyword, annual simple interest, and this is the rate. So what can you do? You can write the formula. So for the simple interest, we write P times R times T divided by 100. So it will become, what is the principal amount? P is for the principal amount, it's 1,500. What is the rate? The rate is 4%. Times it by the time is 3 years, and all will be divided by 100. And now we can cancel these two zeros with these two zeros. So the final answer will be 100 and, let me write it over here, $180. So this is the amount of the simple interest. Here is the question. It says a sum of, this is also from the past papers, it says a sum of $2,000 is invested at an annual interest rate of 5% compound annually. Calculate the amount after 4 years. So how do we find? Because first of all, see, this is the keyword that tells us that we have to use the formula of the compound interest. So what is the formula for the compound interest? We write the principal amount, and then we write 1 plus whatever the rate is over 100 and n here, right? Let's put the values into it. So it will be, principal amount is 2,000, and 1 plus, what is the rate? The rate is 5%, so it will be 5 out of 100. And for how many years you have deposited it? For 4 years, right? So this one will become 2,000, and this one will become 105 over 100, and it is for 4 years. So let's put all these values into the calculator. So how we can put them into the calculator? Let me show you. So we can write over here 2,000, and then you can put a bracket. If you want to write this fraction, you can write this fraction. You want to write this 105 over 100, so it's your choice. So it will be a fraction 105 over, it will be 100, and then close the bracket. Okay, close the bracket, and then take the power of the bracket. It's 4. So the final answer will be, let's convert it into decimal. So it will be 2,431. So let's write it over here, $2,431.01. So this will be the amount that you will get. Calculate the amount after 4 years. Sometimes they say calculate the amount. Calculate the amount means what will be the total amount that you will receive from the bank. So bank will add the compound interest into your principal amount, and they will return you with your principal amount. Sometimes they say only find what is the value of the compound interest. If they say what is the value of the compound interest, then you have to subtract from it your principal amount. Clear? Now I want you to solve this question on your own. Just keep one thing in your mind, that here they are saying 2 years and 6 months. So you know that 2 years and 6 months means that it's 2.5 years. So where we have to write the number of years or the time period, we will write over there 2.5. So better pause the video here, solve this question on your own, and then play the video to check your answer. So here is the answer for this question, because very simple question. You have to find the simple interest. So you will write the formula and put the values into the formula and just simplify it, and you will get the amount of the simple interest. Okay, question number 6. It's a tricky question. It says a sum of $3,000 is invested at an interest rate of 4% per annum, compound quarterly. Find the amount after 2 years. Okay, now here, because they are saying this 4% is for the whole year, but you invested it quarterly. That means that you have to divide this 4% by 4 to know that what will be the amount of, you can say, interest per quarter. Do you get my point? Like this 4%, if you divide 4%, you change it into a fraction, I mean into decimals, it will become 0.04. So that means you have to divide it by 4, because this is for the whole year. If you put it into quarters, so it will become 0.01. This shows that for each quarter your interest rate will be 0.01. Clear? So if you see what is the formula for the compound interest, it's always P times 1 plus the rate. Now what is the rate right now? Rate means put it as a percentage. I mean, if you can write it as 1 over 100. 1 over 100 means here you will write the percentage over 100, and here you have to write the time. Clear? Actually, let me write the correct formula first for you. So here is the correct formula. Now this part, this part, it says rate over 100. Now what is the rate? The rate is 4% over 100, right? Or you can say simply, if you consider it as 4%, so if you divide it quarterly, it will be divided by 4 and your rate will become 1%. Now I think it's clear for you. So quarterly the rate will be 1%. If you go with the per year, it will be 4%, right? Next, now because here we always write the number of years. Now we do not have the number of years, we have quarters. So we will write it like this: 3,000 into 1 plus, now what is the rate? It's 1 over 100. And here, because number of years are 2, but because you are measuring it in quarters, here you put the rate of the quarter. That means we have to count how many total quarters are in 2 years. So there are 8 quarters in 2 years, right? 4 quarters in the first year, 4 quarters in the next year. So now let's put all these values into the calculator to know what is the answer. So it will be 3,000, okay, 3,000, and in the bracket this one will become 101 over 100, so we can write it as 1.01. I'll show you why I'm writing it like this. And then the power for this is 8, or the exponent is 8, so the final answer is becoming 3,248.57. so let's write the answer over here. So it will be $3,248.57. Is this question clear? Because this is the only question that is different in the whole you can say video. What is the main problem? The main problem is they have here given us the years. Here they are saying they put it as quarters. Okay, so this means that you have to change the rate. This rate is for the years. Change it into quarters by dividing it by 4. So it will give you, for example, if they say per half year, then you will divide the rate by 2. Or if they say per term, so usually there are 2 terms in a year, so again you will divide this 4% by 2. So depending on the question you will divide it. Clear? After that, when you get the rate, you will put it into the formula, but be careful that when we will writing over here the time, now it is not in years. If it is in quarters, you will multiply this 2 years with 4. If this will be in per term or per half year, then you will multiply it by 2. And finally, why did I put over here in place of all this 1.01? Because if I solve it, it becomes 101 over 100. That means it's 1.01. So to make it easy to put it into the calculator, you can always change this one into decimals. Clear? Okay, let's see what do we have next. Here, better pause the video here and oh yes, first let me explain you one word. What is the meaning of appreciate or depreciates? It means that you are going to use the same formula that you use for the compound interest. Why we use the same formula for like the one that we are using for the compound interest? Because every year the amount that you can say the next year the amount will be with the interest. Clear? Every year the amount will be different from the previous year. So that's why whenever you find questions like this in which they say appreciate or they say depreciates, that means that you have to use the formula of the compound interest. If it is appreciates, that means it's increasing, you will add 1 plus the rate. But if it will be the case of depreciate, that means the amount the worth is decreasing, that's why you will do 1 minus. Let me show you here. For example, in case of we want to find the worth after, let's say, 4 years or 3 years, how do we find it? We write the principal amount and we write 1 plus whatever the rate is divided by 100 and here the number of years. This is the case when it's appreciating, means it's being increased, it has been increased. If you want to find the worth when the value or the worth is decreasing, in that case we say the principal amount and 1 minus the rate over 100 and here the number of years. So you will use these two formulas in case of appreciate or depreciate to find the worth after the increase or decrease of the you can say amount into the principal amount. So better pause the video here and solve this question on your own. So here is the answer, like what will be the worth of this flat after 3 years. So the worth of flat will be this much after 3 years, and I use this formula, this one, because it was the case of appreciate. Okay, next it says a house is bought for £40,000 and appreciates at 10% each year. What will it be worth in 2 years time? So same idea, better pause the video here and solve it on your own. Here is the answer for this question. So after 2 years the worth of the house will be £48,400. Let me highlight it for you. So this is the answer. Here's the formula that I used. Look at the next problem. It says a motorcycle bought for £1,500 depreciates. So what is the keyword? It's depreciates in a value of 10% each year. Find the value of the motorbike after 3 years. So as I explained you, in case of depreciate, the only difference is like here you have to put the minus sign. 1 means the formula will become the principal amount times it by 1 minus rate over 100 and then here the number of years. So better pause the video here and solve it on your own. So the price of the motorbike after 3 years after decreasing its worth, it will be £1,093.50. Clear? Okay, now we have a question. It says the population of a town was let me say it's 423,500 in the year 2020. It increases at the rate of 10% every year. What would be the population in 2022? How we will find the population? You can find it year by year, right? You can find it for, let's say, 2021 first, and then you can find whatever the answer will be, use it in the next problem when you next step when you will be finding the population for 2022. But isn't it like the same idea like the compound interest? Because in compound interest, every year whatever the amount is by the end of 2021, it will be taken as the principal amount of 2022, right? This shows that we can use the formula of the compound interest even in this case. Remember, whenever you have such situations in which every year you can say amount that is by the end of the first year will be the principal amount of the next year, right? That is the case of compound interest. That means we can use the same formula of the compound interest even if we are talking about the worth worth is increasing, worth is decreasing, or in case of like population, because every year by the end of 2020 it will be the population of principal population of the next year. Clear? So it means you can use this formula of compound interest to find the population that will be in 2022. What was the population in the year 2018? So it means they want you to find the principal amount that was in 2018. So better pause the video here and solve both the parts on your own, and then play the video to check your answers. So here is the answer for this question. As you can see, I wrote here everything. Population in the year 2020, this was the population that is given in the question. 10% is the rate. And then if you want to find the population in 2022, that means after 2 years, so you will write the principal population, you can say, or the actual population. 1 plus the rate is 10 over 100. It's after all solution, it's giving you, this is the population that will be 512,435 in the year 2022. Clear? Okay, what if you want to find what was the population in 2018? Let's suppose the population at that time was X. So you can say population in 2020 equals X, because we don't know how much was the population when it was 2018. 1 plus 10 over 100, because the rate is the same, and here because 2 years have gone, so you can write the 2 here, the time period is 2. Again, the next steps are just to solve how you will get this value of X. The final amount is becoming 350,000 in 2018. So this was the number of people, or the population in 2018. That's all for this video. I took the questions from the past papers, from the books, from the book. Hope the idea is clear for you. That's all.